Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining us for,
Hello,
I
guys.
believe,
Hello.
our seventh installment
7. Okay.
of our Godfather series. Hold on a second here. I got the to mute it there. Here we go.
You had me muted too. I had to do
Yeah.
it myself. I unmuted it myself.
This is our 8th installment.
Eighth. Okay, eighth. You
Nice.
got it. Thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you. How you doing today, guys?
Oh, good. Beautiful.
It's beautiful weather, raining like cats and dogs out here. Perfect
Yes.
for a sit inside and discuss.
Yeah.
We say hello to whoever's here real quick. BK Skip,
Skipper.
Ralphie, Arlene, Marlino, Maureen, Frick. Who else is here? I see TT was here. I don't know if she's back. She was tending to her macaroni. I see Andrea Fatale. I see who else? Anyone else here? Let's see. So Gina. Gina's here. Tammy C is here. So we got a nice crew to start off.
Nice.
So today's episode, we're going to focus on Michael's time in Sicily. And now I have a lot of stuff to add here from the book. You'd be surprised how much stuff is different in the book in this part, but it's not that big of a deal, but it does add a lot to it. And we're going to get into a story that Michael learns while he's in Sicily about Luca Brasi, which I think is really interesting to everybody because it gives the backstory as to why he has this tight relationship with the Godfather, or had the tight relationship with the Godfather where he would do anything for him. And Michael only learns that when he's in Sicily. So, but you don't see that in the movie, but you see it. It's very clear in the book.
There's a lot of background noise. Does somebody have? Do you have TV volume on or anything back there? There's a lot of background noise.
How's that?
Is there a game on or something?
Yeah.
The volume's on. Yeah, because the volume.
How is it now? How is it now?
I hear something, but
I hear it too. It's like like an echoing in the back, like as if a TV is on or something.
Let me see. How's that?
no, it's still there. Or you have both open. One of you guys.
No, I just closed it. I'm just on StreamYard.
I don't have YouTube open at all. I
Me neither.
I didn't go into YouTube at all.
I don't know, Stiggs. I don't hear a damn thing.
A game on? You got a football game on or something in the background?
On the TV.
Is the TV volume off? Muted?
Yes. It's always
All right.
muted. I do it. I mute the TV.
That's so weird.
I think we're good, right?
That's good. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I don't hear nothing.
Yeah, we'll push forward. Listen, it's not a big deal. It's not that big of a
Want to
deal.
make sure. Want to make sure.
Yeah. So let's start off with when we last left off, I should say, we had Michael taking a freighter to Sicily. Now, what they don't tell you in the movie, and what is clear in the book, is when he gets to Sicily, he's under the care. Well, you know this from the movie. He's under the care of Don Tomasino. We see that in Sicily, who has a long-standing relationship with the Godfather. But what they don't tell you is he actually stays at Don Tomasino's uncle's estate. And his uncle's name is Dr. Taza, I think his name is Dr. Taza. So he's a local doctor there, and he's the uncle to Don, his actual uncle, his family uncle to Don Tomasino. And that's where Michael stays, in that compound there that we see. Now, before we get into what Michael says, or Michael does in Sicily, there's there's a small part in the movie where Kay comes to the compound in New York looking for Michael, and she's met by Tom Hagen. We all remember that part, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a follow-up part to that. Like, so she goes there and she wants to give a letter, and Tom Hagen says, "Oh, I'm not going to take that letter because it could prove that I know where he is." In the book, what happens is that does happen, but in the book, what happens is he takes her inside and Michael's mother is there, and Michael's mother starts talking to her, and she actually takes the letter from her and says, don't worry, I'll get this to him. I'll get him the letter. But she also says, which I think is very interesting, she says, he's no longer the boy who find somebody else to marry. So that's another part of his whole transition. Like Michael was a different boy when he was with Kay, or a different guy when he was with Kay. Now that all this has happened, he's now somebody different, and he's not for Kay. That's what the mother says. She says it right out in the open. Now we learn that later on, obviously, but it's something that's in the book right there, which I thought was very interesting, considering all we know about the entire plot. And so after she leaves the compound, she goes home. She goes back to her parents' house and in Connecticut. And 2 New York City detectives show up at her house looking to talk to her about where Michael is. They want to know if she has the whereabouts. Kate's house, Kate's parents' house, where she lives. And the reason I bring this up is it's so interesting because the character of Kay in there at that particular time, if you just didn't know the plot, you would think that the character was going in a different direction, because what she does is she takes a position that she's not going to talk to the police. She's not going to give any information to the police. She's not going to betray her love. So, I mean, it was almost as if she was adopting the culture of the Sicilians, that you don't talk to the police, you don't tell them anything. We know that doesn't always occur, but an original idea of omerta, which is keep your mouth shut, right? In that scene, to me, reading that scene, it gave me the impression that she was turning more towards that, turning more, to really be part of that culture, adopting that culture. But we don't see this in the movie. But I just bring it up because I think it's interesting, because the character changes so much, as we see. That character changes so much as time goes on. All right, so let's talk about Michael in Sicily. So we see him in Sicily, and what do we see? What is evident about him in Sicily in those scenes? We see him walking a lot, right? He's walking a lot on the countryside, going through the town where his father was born. That's basically where he is, looking through the town.
He appeared comfortable and protected and content.
Mm-hmm. And he always has 2 people with him, right? He has 2 bodyguards with him at all times.
That's great. I love the bodyguards.
Yeah, do you remember their names? One was Fabrizio.
Hang on. Go ahead.
The other one was Carlo. Calo.
Yeah. I love they carried the guns on their shoulder,
Yes. Now,
they were like that with them.
Now, the guns that they carry are shotguns, and those shotguns are called a specific name. They're called luparas.
It's with the P, though.
Yeah, and those guns have a historical context, because those were the guns that Mussolini tried to confiscate from the population in Sicily when the fascists took over Italy, because he feared so much. He feared that they could hide behind stone walls and shoot his people. So it's such an interesting thing that they're carrying these guns. Like they just get, this is right after the war. They just get liberated and they have these guns back again.
Wow.
And it's a real part of the culture, those shotguns.
That's interesting.
Well, then they learned how to cut them down, where they could just take them out of their coat, bring them up.
Yes.
That was deadly. Just right out of the coat. They cut the barrel, no matter. And they usually use the double barrels because you got the spread. Or the pump. They do that. Here we go with the guns.
Let me show you. Let me show everybody what we're talking about here.
That's when they made the Italian buckshot, the Sicilian buckshot, Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
The grinding buckshot that was made in Sicily.
Now you see in this picture, Carlo here is holding one of those shotguns. It's not the full length of a shotgun, but it's also not a complete shut-off shotgun. It's kind of in between. It's kind of in between the length.
And there's another name for the gun. I just can't. It won't roll off my tongue right now. Oh, my father used to say it all the time. It'll come.
Now this scene is when he meets Vitelli. He meets Vitelli. Vitelli is the owner of a cafe outside of Corleone. And this is the daughter. I mean, his daughter is the one that Michael falls in love with.
I don't want to interrupt you. Did you see the pictures I put in my community page this morning?
No.
Oh my God, it's all this.
It is? Okay.
It's live. It's the real pictures from the town.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to my page and bring them up. It's the first one on the community. It's actual pictures of the town of Corleone and everything. With the sign up and everything. So check it out later if you want.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will.
Well, I should have told. I thought maybe you would have caught it or something. I think I did it early this morning, and then I forgot to call you. So go ahead.
Now, the guy to the right here is Fabrizio, right? He's Fabrizio, the guy that's talking. The guy to the bottom here is Carlo. Fabrizio, the book tells us that Fabrizio served in the Italian Navy and had tattoos, which was unheard of. Supposedly, none of the Sicilians would have tattoos. So he was kind of like world famous because he came back from the war with a tattoo. And I just thought that was an interesting cultural aspect. They said that the Sicilians really didn't have a cult. They didn't really like tattoos or it wasn't part of their culture.
He was liberated.
Yeah. So and I think that's indicative of he's somebody that wants more than where he is. So Fabrizio wants out. He wants to expand his horizons. He's looking for opportunities. He wants to go to America. These are things that he wants to do. So he's different than Carlo's just a country bumpkin, so to speak. He's content where he is. He's content going and living the life where he is in Sicily. So you got two different people, two different personalities that are guarding him, that are trusted with his life here.
Yeah. You could see when he was chasing the GIs.
Yes, right. That's a good point. The scene where he goes, G.I. Joe, right.
That leads up to a lot of what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Tells you a lot, that scene.
Absolutely. And here's another story. It's a historical fact that it's also brought up in the book that most of the peasants there, what they would do is they would live in Corleone, in a town like Corleone, but they would walk to work every day, and they would walk to the fields to do farming. And what they would have in the fields is a kind of a hut that they would call Pagliato is what it was called. And it was basically a thatch hut that they would leave all their things there, all their tools, some food, some drinks, because they would spend their entire day at the farm working out on the fields, and then they would go home. But they wouldn't keep this stuff at home. They'd keep it there. And that there used to be thieves that would rob these things. And what Don Tomasino says to Michael, you have to take the guards with you when you go walking, because number one, it's dangerous, right? People might be out to kill you, but also you might be mistaken as a thief, one of these thieves that steal from the Paglialos, and therefore they would shoot you on sight. So they would shoot you on sight if you stole from, because this was their livelihood, right? This is where they kept all their possessions. They kept everything there. So if they mistaken him for a thief as he's walking through the fields, he might get killed. So that was just another interesting historical fact about Sicily at the time.
But how did they decipher? How did they decipher who?
Well, how they would know is because the two guards would be there to explain who he was, right?
They're recognizable.
They know him. People know the guards. Yeah. Yep. Because remember, the whole time, Michael is supposed to be incognito here. He's not supposed to be out.
Right.
He's not supposed to be talking to people. He's not.
Right.
He's supposed to be basically in hiding.
Yes.
You know.
Right. He's not supposed to get spotted, seen, heard, nothing.
And that's why Don Tomasino stopped him and says, "You got to, you know."
Yeah. You
got
got
to
to hold.
You look too content.
Hold a minute. Yeah. Hold it a little bit.
Yeah.
See the thing.
Yes, exactly. Let me see. Oh, Gianni's here. Toro's here. A couple more folks have joined.
We got about 5 big guys: Gianni, Toro, Big Bones, Andrea.
Big Bones. Yep. Excellent. Okay, so let's talk about Michael's big revelation that happens here, right? He's walking along with his bodyguards, and he sees a group of women coming towards him. And what happens? What happens to Michael?
He falls in love.
Yeah, and what is the term they use? What is the term they use?
Lightning
Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt, yes, a thunderbolt. He's struck by a thunderbolt.
He's struck by that thunderbolt of love.
And
Apollonia.
yes, let me see. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Oh,
Here she is.
she is hot. Look at that. No makeup, no nothing.
No, just
Natural.
a peasant girl with pure beauty. No makeup, nothing. Peasantry, wearing simple things, but he's totally taken aback by her. Totally hit by the thunderbolt, so to speak.
It's a laborer's dream come true. Look at her.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And now, before this happens in the book, it talks about how Michael's thinking of Kay, and he's already resigned himself before he meets Apollonia. He's already resigned himself to the fact that Kay was over. He was not going to go back to Kay, that his life had changed and Kay was not for him. Which is, I never knew that.
He was bringing her back to the States with him.
He was going to bring Apollonia. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
That was his MO plans from day one. She was going back to the States with him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Teaching her how to drive, teaching her English.
Yep.
Yards with her, manners, this, that.
Absolutely.
That's just great stuff.
And they make a big deal out of the thunderbolt in the book. Like they say that a lot. He was struck by the thunderbolt, and they describe how he reacts in that it's something that he's never experienced before, ever. It's something that he didn't know even existed. He said, and he describes it. He describes it himself as in his mind as nothing else he ever experienced before. In that he was, it was like an unstoppable force that he had to have her. He had to be with her, and that she was ingrained. Her face was ingrained in his mind. That he had to have her because he couldn't get rid of her face. It was just there, and it was always there. So
and the whole nostalgia around her too. What about all the Sicilian ladies walking behind them and all that nostalgia? That's what
yes. Absolutely right.
Authentic history of all that.
Right, because at the time, especially in, I don't know about the cities, but especially in a rural area like this or a village area, the old ways were still the ways to go. So a single teenage or early womanhood girl would not be allowed to go out without an escort anywhere. So when he comes on this group, there's the women in the background. There's the older women in the background that are following right behind because that's just the way it was. If the girls were going to go out, someone had to escort them.
Joe Della, what's going down, Goomba?
Joe Della, nice to see you, my friend.
Yeah, that's all good stuff there, Anthony. That was good stuff. All that upbringing and teaching for her, that whole part when he was in Sicily there.
Yeah, absolutely. So he is hit by the thunderbolt and he decides he absolutely has to find her because she kind of runs off. She goes off and does her thing, and they kind of lose her. And it's just by happenstance that they end up going to her father's cafe. They stop there to get out of the sun, to have a drink, and they ask, "Do you know this girl? Do you know this girl?" And what's the reaction? They get a negative reaction immediately.
No.
That they get this no, and he runs away. Runs back into it and you hear the screaming in the background. Now, how often did we hear the screaming in the background?
After the description of the dress, that was it.
Yeah, right.
What did you do, you son of a bitch?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. Like how I could just imagine what was being said. Who?
oh,
How did this happen? Where were you? He's probably giving his wife a hell for this.
why did you walk by him?
Yeah.
He spotted you. Why didn't you go the other way? The whole thing. Yup. You brought the devil to the house. Oh, could you imagine?
Yes, exactly. Noel in the house. How are you, my friend?
Oh, Goomba.
So now in the movie, I think this is a good thing. In the movie, he has Fabrizio translate for him. In the book, he doesn't. He does his own talking. And I thought that was a nice touch, having Fabrizio translate for him when he's communicating to the father, when he asks the father for the courting relationship. And the reason that is in the book, because by that time they said that he had been there 7 months already, and that he had been concentrating on his language, concentrating a lot on he already knew how to speak Sicilian, but he was concentrating on getting rid of his accent. And at this point, they said he had almost no accent, that you would think that he was almost a native. He was so good at the language at this point.
Interesting.
But I thought it was a good touch in the movie that he has Fabrizio translate for him.
Yeah, it worked good. His bodyguard, the whole 10 yards there.
Yeah, that was good.
Especially
and what does Vitello say? He says, okay, first, well, what he does, he first asks who he is, and then Michael gives him an implied threat. I'm an American hiding in Sicily.
Yeah.
Now people would pay money for that information, but then your daughter would lose a father instead of losing a husband.
How funny was that? This came right out before he even went to where he is.
Right.
The first thing he made up, your daughter would lose a father for me even being near you.
Right.
That was great.
Mm-hmm. And in the book, he specifically asks Michael, "Are you part of the mafia?" He asks him, but he uses a phrase "Are you friends? Are you friends of the friends?" or something like that?
Friends of the friends, he said.
Yeah, friend of the friends, right? Friend of the friends. Yeah. Because they wouldn't even use the term mafia. They wouldn't at that time. They wouldn't use it at all.
It's Amica Nostra.
Yeah. So, the book does a lot better job of explaining the extent of the mafia here and how it was really, and we've talked about this outside of this before, how the mafia transformed and how it originally was created as a defense for the people against the oppressive government. Remember, Sicily had changed hands so many times over the years, and the kingdom of Naples had it at one point. There was an actual kingdom of Sicily. There was France had it at one point. So it was always an area or an island that was changing hands, and there was always a government trying to rape it. In a theoretical sense, like take its resources, take everything from it, oppress it, and so the mafia was the defense to that, and Omerta was the defense. It was the survival of the mafia. The only way you could ever have that is if you kept your mouth shut. You would never say anything to anyone.
Yeah, they were conquered by everybody. So that's why he said she looks like a Greek. More
or Greek. Yeah.
So, but they make a real point of that, and I think that's important. And they also say how the mafia had changed by that time in the late 1940s, that the mafia had been doing a lot less of protecting the people and being more of taking advantage of the people as well. And that's human nature, right? That's human nature anywhere in the world. It's not just Italy or Sicily. It's human nature.
They took advantage of it because they had control. They had control through protection.
Yep.
And then they just went wayward. They went wayward after that.
Yep.
Which is unfortunate.
Yes. So Michael starts the courting process, right? And Vitello invites him, come to my house this Sunday. Come to meet my family this Sunday. And he does. And he goes there dressed in a suit. And he brings with him presents. Let's see if I have any pictures of this. I thought I had some pictures of this somewhere. Hold on.
Big Bones brought a great point up. You better know what you're talking about. You're absolutely right, Big Bones. If you don't have a translator.
Yes.
That's a big point.
I don't know. This picture comes out kind of small, but this is when he starts courting Apollonia. They're going for walks, and behind them is the long trail of the family with them every step of the way, right?
Yeah.
Every step of the way they're there.
Yeah. Entourage, basically.
Yes, exactly.
It's crazy.
You son of a... Look at this. Miami 35-10 in the second quarter. Unbelievable.
Tony the Night Owl, thank you for joining. All right. Now, when Michael goes and he gives presents, now this is something I didn't really take notice of by watching the movie, but it's clear in the book. One of the things that he does is he provides Apollonia with a gold chain. And the significance of that is anything with gold meant it was serious and permanent. That it's a demonstration of his commitment to the courtship and to eventually be married. And that was strictly a Sicilian custom, that something being gold was given, and that shows that you're in it. You're in it for the long haul. That's it. You're gone. Now, he comes and he gives gifts to her. He gives gifts to the mother. He gives a gift to Vitelli himself. He comes bearing gifts, as he has to ingratiate himself to the family. He's got to win them over. And how's he going to do that? He's going to do that by giving them gifts.
Remember, they used to give the people from Sicily the Statue of Liberty every time they came home.
Well, yeah, in America we do that.
They used to love their statues of Liberty.
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody has one. My grandmother had one. I'll buy their mantle for years.
Oh, yeah. I have one over here. Hold
on. Right. I wish I had mine out.
I have one right here.
I had mine out. ALV, we got one of them. And the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I got the ivory Leaning Tower of Pisa. Her Leaning Tower of Pisa. Good shit. Go ahead.
So in the book, it also tells us that she doesn't even smile at him until the third time. So he goes there the Sunday, and then it describes how he wants to see her so much that he goes there the day after. He doesn't go to the house, but he goes to the cafe in hopes that she'll be there, and that the father eventually brings her and her mother down, and he sees her there. And then he goes back the following Sunday, and it's not until the following Sunday that she actually, this whole time, she doesn't smile at him at all. She won't even look at him. And it's not until that third time where she actually looks at him and smiles. So that she's actually opening up a little bit. And that's how long the courtship process would take. And he does this for 2 weeks. And then at the 2-week mark, they set a date for the wedding from there. So the wedding would be 2 weeks after that. So he's going to marry this girl after only a month of courting, according to the book.
I want to answer this one question. Well, we got to remember, the nose drip wasn't allergies or nothing like that. The nose drip was from the punch he took from the captain.
Absolutely.
When he broke his nose, he really messed his nasal and his bones
Yes.
crooked, and that's why he had that drip and those problems. It was from the punch. Just wanted to bring that in.
No, absolutely. Here you go. Right here.
It was something that was a question too. Yup, there you go. It
Yeah.
was all because of that punch. It ruined his nose, his nasal cavity.
And the book even describes him that his jaw didn't heal properly.
Yes,
That
that's where I'm going by ALV.
yeah, that he was kind of like it was
Jaw.
off kilter a little bit.
Yes, that's how he sucker punched him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a shot to take.
Arlene said, "You know, I wasn't a shotgun wedding. You know, it wasn't
Wet
a
and
wedding
wild,
shotgun."
of course. You know, she
Yeah, right, man. We knew that.
she probably had the shotgun tied to her hip there. Wild.
And so then you have the wedding, and we see the wedding. Now, the wedding itself is what you would think of as a traditional backwoods wedding of the time. You know, they're actually walking through the streets of Corleone. It's not like there's a reception hall or anything like that. They go to the church, the same church that Vito passed by when he was going to Italy, you know, that he passed by in those scenes. We see that in Godfather 2, that he's coming past that same church. That's the church they get married in. And then they make a procession through the town, and everyone in the town is basically welcome to the wedding. If you lived in the town, you're welcome at the wedding. There was no invites or anything like that. And as they're walking through, people are throwing flowers at them, and then in return, what do? They hand out those what do you call those things? They're candy. They're like almonds covered in candy.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
That are on every wedding you go to, right? Every Italian wedding has them. But that's what they hand out.
The woman should spit that out immediately. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Help us.
Yep. The almonds.
The almonds, that's it.
Right.
Almonds.
Yes. The wet.
Was the almond.
Absolutely. Thank you.
The wet saves the day.
Hey, William, how are you?
Whippy.
Jordan alms. They're right. That's what they're called, Jordan alms. And they actually hand them out to anyone along the route. Now, you don't see that, but in the book, they specifically point that out, that they carry that with them and they hand it out to people as they're processing through. They hand those out to everyone that's there.
Right.
Now, here's an interesting fact from the book. On the wedding night, the mother, Apollonia's mother, goes with them. She goes with them to where Michael is staying and she doesn't stay in the room, but she stays there overnight. She stays in that compound.
His uncles,
right. That's where that's where she stays. And the reason she stays there, they say, is because she, in case her being a virgin, Apollonia being a virgin, if she has any issues, she can come and talk to the mother, and the mother could talk her down from her crazy, whatever she's in, talk her down and put her back and get her back in there. So that was the approach. That's why she would be there.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Getting her right to the moment.
Yes.
Right over the moment. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Now, Theo, I saw you go like this. Did you have something? You wanted to say something? You went like this?
No. My hand signals probably wrong.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's all ALV.
Now, this is the part that's not in the movie at all that I want to get into is, and it's very interesting if you ask me. There's a woman that works at her uncle's estate. I mean, at Tomasino's uncle's estate. Her name is Filomena. And Filomena is actually an Italian that went to America and came back. And the reason this comes out is because when Michael gets married, word gets out, right? He's not incognito anymore because he got married. So word travels. A Corleone got married, and word travels through Sicily. It's or through the at least the surrounding area, which leads to why there's an attempt on his life because of that. Because he got married, it's a public thing, everybody knows about it. Well, Philomena finds out, Philomena was there and works there, and so she says she gets Michael alone, and she talks to him and says, Is your father okay? How's your father? I heard that your father was," and he says, "Oh, he's fine." And she goes, I knew him in America." And she says, "Also, how is Luca Brasi? Is it true that he's dead?" And because may the devil take him, because now she hated Luca Brasi. And he says, "Yes, he's dead." And then so Michael takes this opportunity to question her, because Tom Hagen and Sonny, if you recall, were going to tell him something about Luca Brasi that they'd stop. They wouldn't tell him. They wouldn't tell him the secret, right? They wouldn't tell him the secret. Well, Philomena tells Michael the secret about Luca Brasi, because Philomena was a midwife in America, so she would deliver babies. So one night she gets a knock on her door, and it's Luca Brasi. And Luca Brasi says, "I need you to come with me." She doesn't want to go because she's afraid of Luca Brasi.
Yeah.
But he takes a wad of money, puts it in her hand, and says, "You're coming with me," and grabs her and takes her. And he takes her to his apartment where he was staying, or his house where he was staying. And she finds a pregnant girl there, a pregnant Irish girl, red hair, Irish girl about to give birth. And she delivers the baby. All right. So she delivers the baby. She takes the baby and she turns to Luca Brasi and she says, "Luca Brasi, is this your child? Are you the father?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm the father, but I don't want anything to do with that race," meaning the Irish, because the mother was Irish. "Take the baby down and throw it in the furnace."
What?
Yes. So she tries to talk him out of it and says, "I'm not doing this." Luca takes out a knife and puts it to her throat and says, "You're going to kill this baby, otherwise I'm going to slit your throat."
Oh my God.
So he takes her down into the basement, and she refuses to do it again. He puts the knife back up against her throat, and unless she does it, he gets closer and closer to her throat, getting closer and closer until she actually does it. And he forces her to throw the child into the furnace and kill the child.
Oh my God. Wow. That's in the book.
That's in the book, yes.
They can never put that on screen.
No.
That part can never make it to film. Wow.
Now it shows you how evil Luca Brasi really is to do something like that. But it's also important because it explains the relationship with the Don. Because what happens is he gets arrested for this, because he ends up killing. She leaves after this happens. She leaves, and he ends up killing the Irish woman that he knocked up, or he got pregnant. So he gets arrested for that, and he's going to be executed. And the Don uses his political powers to get him out of jail and get him loose. So that's why he has this undying loyalty to the Don, because he would have been dead. He would have been executed for killing this woman and her child.
And it makes sense. If you go back to 2 scenes ago, it makes sense why he was so surprised and honored to be at the wedding.
Right.
After doing this horrible crime that the Don helped him get out of.
No. It all connects.
Yep.
It all connects. Wow. That's interesting.
Imagine the people that wouldn't even come close to knowing this if we didn't say it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, and like you say, Tommy, there's no way they would put that in a movie at that time, and there's no way they would do that. But it explains a lot, and it's important to the plot. I think it really is.
Very good. Yeah.
So anyway, that's the backstory for Luca.
Yeah.
And why people were so afraid of him also, because I mean, he had this reputation that he'd kill his own child.
Yeah.
So
capable of anything at that point.
So Michael is enjoying his time with his new wife, and like Thendu said, he's teaching her English. He's teaching her how to drive. He's preparing her to come back to America with him whenever that happens, whenever that actually occurs. whenever he gets the word that it's clear for him to come back.
Yeah.
And
you hear Carlos say she's going
she's going to make a good
American
wife,
one
right?
day.
She's going to make a good American wife, right?
Look what Toro said. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yes.
Thursday.
She speaks English already. She Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday. Yes.
I love that part.
Mm-hmm. So she yeah. So that brings us to the point where he's preparing for her to go back, and then suddenly he gets word from Don Tomasino. It's not safe for you to be here anymore. Now, and this is all because of the buildup of people knowing that he's there, number one. And it also, in the book, it tells us that Don Tomasino is basically on the defense in Sicily because he said that it says that there is a whole new mafia that's kind of that is springing up in Palermo, and it's not following the traditions. It's not following the rules, and they're younger guys. They're not they're and a lot of them, and they say this, a lot of them are deported from America, like people that are learning the mafia in New York or in another part of America that get arrested and get deported back to Sicily, and they are bringing this more ruthless type of mentality with them. Not worried about honor, not worried about anything, selling drugs, not doing drugs, prostitution, not worried about any codes at all. So he has to battle them as well. So he's not only protecting Michael as a favor to the Don, he's also protecting his own territory. He's trying to stop them from coming into his territory at the same time. So he's always on the edge, and they say that he actually has guards all over the place towards the end there, where the point where we see where he speaks to Michael and says it's not safe for you. There's guards all over the place, in addition to Paolo and Fabrizio, because he's basically on the defense from these new mafiosos that are out there. Let me see if there's are we missing anything in the chat? No, I think we're good here. Okay. So then it brings us to the point, which kind of destroys everything, right? Michael is about to leave because of Don Tomasino's advice. You got to leave. And then we find out what happens. There's an attempt on his life. And unfortunately, it doesn't. Well, unfortunately, it kills his wife. When the car explodes, it kills his wife. Now, in the book, it kills Paolo also. Paolo also gets killed, and because he's standing outside of the car when it blows up, and both of them are killed. And Fabrizio runs off. Yeah. We see him running off. And now this is another thing. From that explosion, according to the book, Michael's out for a week, unconscious for a week from the explosion, like knocked out, unconscious for a week.
Knocked him into the bushes, right?
Yep.
And so that goes back to where he was waving down the GIs. You could tell there was something already from the beginning of the scene. Mm-hmm. He wanted out of there.
Yep.
Somebody got to him and planted all of this and made this happen.
And it doesn't tell you. It really doesn't tell you who it was. Like there's nothing in there about who actually made the attempt on his life. Nothing at all. It could have been Bozzini, working through channels. I mean, that's probably who it was. Who else could it have been?
I think it was one of the olive oil guys.
It was the opposition that took out Sonny, because this is right after he tells him that Santino was murdered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you hear what I said? The old man, olive oil guy.
Right.
He was a boss.
Yeah. Don Cheech.
But Don Cheech is dead already by this time.
Well, I'm just saying it could have been retaliation, anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's all. They never said it. We're always
they never said specifically what it was, how it came about.
Yeah.
But obviously Fabrizio was bought off and he wanted out. He wanted to get to America. That was probably part of it. We'll bring you to America. Who knows?
As you said, with the tattoos and everything, he was already rebellious to the culture and the structure and all of that.
Right.
He already checked out as being the loyalist.
Yeah. Yep.
And you saw it. When I watched it a little bit today and I saw him waving down the GIs, that's when it clicked to me. And then I fast forwarded in my brain to the explosion.
Yeah.
And just brings it all together.
Yeah, Johnny is saying that he's right. There is a deleted scene. I don't know if it's Godfather 2 or I don't know which one it was supposed to be in, where Fabrizio gets killed. That he's in America because that's where he ends up, and they end up killing him in America. I don't know what movie though that was supposed to be a part of. I don't know if it was 1 or 2.
I'm gonna think it was on the baptism day. Maybe they deleted it out of that part.
Maybe it was part of the when everyone was killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Yeah,
possibly. I mean, otherwise that would make sense. That's where he made all his.
Yep.
He held everybody accountable that day. So. Possibly.
Oh, Edwin is here. I forgot to say hello to Edwin. How are you, Edwin? Thank you for joining.
That's where hanging out with us. If they put it in the film, that's where it would fit. I would think.
Yeah. So basically that brings us, to the end of this scene. I think you don't really see Michael come back to America. You don't see him until he's in America. You don't see anything about his transition or anything like that. But it's shortly after that, the death of Apollonia, that he gets news that he can come back to America. But I mean, my final statement on this is like the death of Apollonia is the final transition to Michael being completely ruthless, because the love of his life is gone. The love of his life is completely gone. This he experienced something with her that he never could explain, or it was out of the blue, and it took over his life. It took over his life, and it was taken from him. And then there's a point in the book, which there's a line that's in the book. Hold on, and I'll read it to you, which says it all to me. Now, this is Michael talking to Don Tomasino. This is just about when he's about to come back. This is what Michael says to Don Tomasino. Tell my father to get me home. Tell my father I wish to be his son. Now, that line is the completion. It's the complete transformation of him. He wants to be his son, right? He's done.
Yeah. That locks it right in there.
He's done.
He was doing it step by step, but that any hesitation was gone at that point.
Yep.
He was full in after that, 100%. He was full on after he clipped it.
I think so. But I think that statement is him verbalizing it outright to everyone. I'm going to be his son. I'm going to be his.
Everything else was action. Everything else was action. This was the actual.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Wow. Unbelievable. That's great.
Right. They changed his name to Fred. Right. The pizzeria was Fred's Pizzeria, I think. The pizzeria Fabrizio opened in Buffalo. I got it on cobwebs a little bit. Yes.
Oh, really? That was his name in America, Fred?
Yes. He changed it to Fred. He opened the pizzeria and he got killed in Buffalo.
Right.
So I think it was Fred's Pizzeria. It wasn't Frank's, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys make my mind so dusty from the book. It's been so long.
There's 3 things. There's the book, there's the movie, and then there's the other one, the deleted scenes.
Unbelievable.
Because this isn't captured in the book or in the movie.
No.
Now there's a third aspect to this
Right.
Oh, no problem, Joe Della. Yes. I wasn't even sure, Joe.
No.
I forget.
Wow. Interesting.
Fred's Pizza. Yeah, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow, this was awesome.
It's so far from Frank, so more American, and he was saying it.
Yeah. Interesting.
In the book, did they have any making ceremonies? No.
Never.
Nothing is in there about that.
They wouldn't even go that far.
Nope.
Yeah, remember, this is our whole point here is that this saga or this story is not about the interworkings of the mafia,
Nope.
or like the mechanics of the mob. It's very high level, and it's cultural. It's not about telling you the specifics of how people did things. It's
Nope.
at all.
It's not really a mafia movie.
Yeah.
It's a cultural movie with mafia.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody was ever made in there.
Yeah, there was nothing like that in the movies.
No. Nope. Like I said, this could have been a 2-day movie with all the things we're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about.
absolutely. You include all this stuff, forget about it.
Yep.
Now, I've never seen the Godfather saga, which is where they put all the deleted scenes back in. I've never watched that from beginning to end. I don't know how
Me neither.
long that
I
is.
know.
It's got to be pretty long, because
I think
it
it's like
takes
9
stock of
hours
the
or
1,
something like that.
2, and 3, puts them together and puts in deleted scenes, right?
I think it's
So
about 9 hours. Yeah.
yeah, it's got to be huge.
Yeah.
Because things, how did you sit through that 9 hours without going to box?
No, I didn't actually. No, I didn't. Maybe I caught it clip by clip, but I never watched it.
Right, I thought you watched it.
Nope.
That's a long time. Jeez.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I think they put it on TV, and I think they put it on 2 or 3 nights in a row.
Right. What part 1, part 2, Broadway.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, Joe Colombo. Poof, he went nuts over that movie back in the 70s. He had them take the word mafia right out of that movie, Joe Colombo.
Yep, he did.
Yeah.
No curses. Nobody realized there's no curse in The Godfather. Not one curse. Nobody realizes that. They didn't even curse.
Thanks, you're right. Not one F-bomb in The Godfather. Not one.
Nope. No, one curse. It's crazy. Now, mafia is not mentioned, and no cursing.
Right.
Nope.
And they pulled that off.
Yeah, they did.
And you don't even notice it, though. Like you don't even notice it. You don't pay attention to that. You're not.
You
it's
because to be effective, you don't need all of that noise.
Mm-hmm.
And look how effective that was. Look how effective it was.
Yep.
Actions speak louder than words, my friend.
Right. That word is not intimidating, right? People might think it is, but it really is not intimidating.
You got to remember, you couldn't say that word back then.
Yep.
That word was forbidden.
So well done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joe Colombo was picketing it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if there's even an Italian curse in it. There's not even an Italian, right? There's no Italian curses either.
No, they kept that type of vibe out of it. The whole vibe.
Yeah, they did.
Check it out, man. Do some.
The only thing I can think of is when Don Cheech is killed. He says, "Son of a whore." That's the closest thing to a curse. Figlia di Butan. He says when he's killed.
Yeah. Well,
that's the closest thing to a curse.
Right.
The F-bombs are not there.
Yeah.
100%.
And Noel said it. People don't realize how that movie wasn't going to be made.
Right.
There was so much comedy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Carm. Yeah, go back. Definitely go back. I mean, go back and watch it. Absolutely. That's always time well spent.
That's your option. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was good. This was good.
Yeah. So this was a good episode. I think we learned a lot of additional stuff from the book that really explain how things happened and why they happened. And a lot of it also from the cultural aspects of Sicily and the whole courtship and the old ways of doing things and how that was still going on in 1947, 1946, 47. And
it was.
Yeah. And the change over from, it was a war-torn country. It was ruled by Mussolini and the fascists. And he really did a crackdown on the mafia there. Yeah. And now that he was gone and Americans had liberated it, this is another interesting fact that I kind of forgot to mention, but what they assumed everybody in jail was a democratic fighter against Mussolini. So they actually took mafia people, not knowing that they were mafia people, and put them in positions, like when in Sicily, like they took them out of jail and said, "You're going to be the mayor of this town."
Yeah,
You're
they didn't
gonna be
realize
this,"
he was a mafia.
not knowing, not knowing why they were actually in jail.
Hey, Big Bones, that's not swearing. Basically, that's stereotyping.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call it swearing.
Mm-hmm.
Gianni's been filling his face with prosciutto, gabagool, and suppress.
Right,
Okay.
Gianni. Yeah, well, I'm starving over. I'm eating the couch over here. Vito's treats. I mean, send some of that over here, please.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Nice. Nice was awesome.
So yeah, so it was I think this was a good talk. I think what I want to do, I think our next episode, we'll go back a little bit. We'll go back and do the death of Sonny. We'll do that part, which was kind of at the same time in the movie. Like they kind of went back and forth a little bit here. So we'll go back and we'll do that as the next episode.
Because this could have been two scenes put together. Got to kind of know where to cut it off, and we got it just right. I think. So. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No wonder we didn't hear from Gianni. He was stuffing his face.
Yeah, he's too busy. He's too busy enjoying.
Yep.
Come on, was it? I gotta look into that. No, was it him?
Thank you, TT.
What did Noel say?
It was
thank you, TT.
Fellow Buffalo West Sider stars in it. Yes.
Oh, The Offer. Okay.
Yeah, The Offer. Yeah, that's on Paramount.
Right.
Paramount Plus.
I gotta watch that again. Thank Gallo. Absolutely. I couldn't roll it off my tongue. No, good one. Yeah. Look at, I'm going to try to put it on the screen like a moron.
Yeah.
With my friggin' mouse.
What did you want on the screen? Pat Gallo? What did you want on the screen?
Thank you.
Dean, I did it 10 times already. I did the same thing. I'm like, why isn't it moving? Why?
You know what?
I'm doing the same thing. Why isn't it going on? Oh, it's not my show.
It's not my show. Thanks.
There we go. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. I did the same thing.
Don't worry. Wait. What was I going to say?
I do it when I'm on yours, Dean. Do I do the same thing when I'm on yours? I do the same thing.
He'll start yelling at you in a second. Oh, the comments up there. Good stuff.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up. And
No. I need 40 more seconds here.
Go ahead.
I want you at an hour here.
Oh, yeah. 40. Right.
Oh, my God.
We're talking hours here, cuz we got to get hours.
I feel like leaving you right now because
you're not going anywhere. just take that comment off the screen and we'll be good.
See what I mean? That's why I'm going.
There.
I had to add that. Okay, I had to add that.
Couldn't wait to say take the comment off.
Wait, here we go. We got another one from Noel here. He also played Tony Jack Giacone in The Irishman. Yeah. Okay.
The Irishman, the short.
There we go. Yeah. We're at an hour, boys. You can do whatever you want to do now, Ant.
All right, we did it. All right.
You know what I want to do now here, Stiggs?
Oh boy.
All right, we're good. Beautiful. This is a good one.
Yeah, well, we got to get one of these on the show today.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, Thindu, before we log off and we stay on. Don't shut it. Don't shut
off, Thindu. Stay on.
Stay up.
When I shut down, stay on.
Yeah, we talk after.
Yeah. All right.
Stay there. All right. We talk in the background after. Like we do before, we do it after too.
Okay.
All right. All right, Ant, do your thing.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Please hit the like button if you can on the way out. I really appreciate it. Thank you for spending your Sunday afternoon with us for a little talk. And we'll be back again, hopefully. Who knows? Life is life. But we intend to be back again. You never can tell. But we intend to be back again. And we'll do Sonny's death next time. But thank you all for building the Guild and supporting all our channels and being a part of this. Because without you, this is nothing. So thank you for being here. Have a great Sunday afternoon. From us to you, God bless.